WTL.
It's time!
WTL.
I think we got a show. Oh yeah, we got a show.
WTL.
Welcome back, everybody, to WTL. Where's the Line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I'm your host, Andy Classen, joined by
JaBron.
the Parlay Pounder.
You got it. We're back.
Yes, we are, and we got to get right into it.
Yeah.
That is the NBA playoffs.
No doubt.
What fantastic theater. You know, for all you want to say about the NBA,
Yeah.
and the refs this and traveling, you know, whatever.
Yeah, rule changes, all that stuff.
Yeah. But there's been some spectacular games.
Yo, no doubt about it.
Finishes early on here in the first round, and it's only the first round.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just going to pick up from from there on. But yeah, a couple great games in this first round. Obviously, the Nuggets and Lakers is what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Lakers up by 20 points in the first half, going into the third. And then, you just had a feeling that the Nuggets were going to keep chopping away. Got to it by 10 by the fourth. And then, Jamal Murray hit the dagger. So it was really, really demoralizing to a Laker fan like me, but really, really fun basketball to watch.
Yeah, make it 10 in a row, right?
Yeah, 10 in a row for the Nugs.
Everything you said last week happened.
Yeah.
AD had his game face on.
Yep.
Him and LeBron, they combined for 59 total points.
Right.
They held Jamal Murray in check. He had a pretty poor first half
He
shooting.
really did. Yeah, he just came alive in the fourth is all.
Made 4 in a row, and then, of course, like you mentioned, the
game
dagger
winner.
with time expiring.
Yeah.
I mean, a step back buzzer beater, that's tough
But
to swallow.
LeBron had a chance to win the game. That's where it really came down to it. He had a 3 to try to win the game, bricked it, and then gave them the ball for the last possession. So that's really where it comes down to. He's hit that shot so many times, but couldn't happen in game 2.
I saw a lot of funny articles and headlines like, "Ooh, positives that LA can take." I'm like, they're down 0-2.
Yeah, they're down 0-2.
It's now,
And the only positive thing I can say for the Lakers is that they have held double-digit leads in both of these games before squandering away in the second half. They certainly feel like they should have at least probably won one of those games, but
it felt like it.
Yeah,
it did.
They can't let themselves be demoralized against this well-oiled machine, Nikola Jokic-led Nuggets.
Yep.
They have to go out there and do it 100% intensity again. And I really think the best bet for this Thursday night game, Andy, Game 3 in Los Angeles, is I think they can win that first half again. And that line is sitting right there at minus 134.
Okay.
So that is one Laker bet that I think is really going to happen because similar to how the first two games go, the Lakers have a good chance to win the first half. Home court advantage will give them additional, and that AD and LeBron are going to play as many minutes as they physically can.
Right.
Because if they lose game 3, it's all over.
Yep.
It's all over. So the extra day of rest should give those stars the additional energy that they need for game 3. So I really think that the first half line is where I'm going to put a lot of my money on Thursday night.
Yeah, and Game 3 is going to be on TNT. It's the nightcap. It's a 9 p.m. tip-off, so get a little nap in there midday if you can, so you can stay up to watch the end.
Yeah, it's midnight by the time these freaking get over.
And that's a great point because the Lakers do so well in the first half.
Yeah.
I think when they kind of fizzle out or run out of gas, it's because their bench isn't very deep.
Yeah, no doubt.
They're just so top-heavy payroll-wise, the whole 9 yards,
no
right?
Doubt.
That's how this team is constructed.
Yep.
But that first half bet, I really like that. With all that being said, all the Nuggets do is win and beat the Lakers.
Exactly, yeah. The Lakers are a 1.5 favorite at home for Game 3. I would probably put my money on the Denver Nuggets to win this game. I really think that Jokic and Murray will get it going in the second half.
They smell blood.
They do.
And did you catch AD's post-game presser?
Yeah, he got on Darvin Ham a little bit.
Yeah, I got some audio. Hold on.
Yeah, and LeBron did the same thing, but he's pointing at the refs. Didn't know what's going on in the replay booth. Dude, you're up 20. You guys were up 20.
Yeah.
It's nobody's fault but your guys's. But I do believe that Los Angeles wants to, certainly avoid back-to-back sweeps in the playoffs from these guys. So they are going to take their biggest swing here and try and get a game. I do expect this to be another slow-paced game, Andy. So that over-under sitting at 216 as I'm seeing it right now. I believe that under is a good play. So both teams like to slow things down and control their offense in the half court. That trend should continue, considering the Lakers are doing a good job against Denver on the defensive end, like you were saying, while struggling to score themselves on the other side. So should be another low-scoring affair. So I like that under 216 as well.
I do too, and Denver, they don't mind slowing it down. They kind of like that half-court game, but this might be one of those spots where it would be more conducive for them to kind of push the Lakers, try and push that tempo, but they don't have to. They're more than comfortable playing their style. Yeah,
they're up 2-0,
yep.
And Joker in the half court is where they play. That is exactly what they do. Jamal Murray, Joker, pick and roll. That's all they need to do.
Do you like any player props? I saw Jamal Murray's usually lands about that 23.5.
Yeah.
And it just feels like he's on another level, playing with so much confidence right now.
I mean, I would probably take his overs. I believe both LeBron and AD points over will probably be a good thing. I would do a double-double for Anthony Davis. He has to do that. But, he's sitting there with AD at points at 25.5. He probably should do that. D'Angelo Russell was a nice surprise on game 2, hitting all those threes. He's at 17.5, so that's probably good. But LeBron James can't go wrong with 25.5. Take that over. He's not going down without a fight. His alternative points, if you want to go all the way up to 30, is plus 170, which I probably will sprinkle a little bit on. LeBron, like I said, he does not want to lose this game, and he's going to do everything he can to win it. So I like 30 plus LeBron plus 170.
So if you bump them up to 30, you get a lot more plus money.
No doubt.
That's where that's at.
That's where that's at.
In that alternative line.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Then there's plenty of apps that are offering plenty of different lines for you to wager on.
Exactly. And the one I really like for Nikola Jokic is over points plus rebounds plus assists. It's sitting at 50.5 right now.
Okay.
This guy will most likely get 35 points, 10 assists, and 12 rebounds, which will sky over that 50.5. So I really like Joker over 50.5 points, rebounds, assists.
All righty. Well, I never argue with anything on plus Jokic, the Joker, for sure.
He's the man.
Should we move on up to the 6:30 tip-off?
Let's do it.
That also is on TNT, and that is the New York Knicks versus Philadelphia 76ers. Much like the game we just talked about, it came down to the wire.
Yeah.
It looked like Philadelphia was going to sneak one and get one on the road, steal one on the road. Unable to seal the deal, the Knicks prevail. They are up 2-0 heading to Philadelphia.
Yeah, Andy, that was such a good game to watch.
Yep.
No, it's just the thing with Joel Embiid. Everybody knows that he is, the best player on the court and probably the best center in all of basketball, probably besides Joker, obviously. But with dominance fashion, he probably is, just with the size and how strong he is.
Traditional post.
He's never won. He's never won outside of the second round in the NBA playoffs, which is just absolutely nuts when they start saying he's one of the best 75 to ever play, top 100 all the time. You got to win. You have to win, and especially against, I know the New York Knicks had a great season, but they're missing their all-star big man.
Yep.
The guy that's supposed to go toe-to-toe with you, and it's just a bad look for him right now. So,
it is.
Philadelphia 4.5-point favorite. I would lean on caution for that because these Knicks, just like the Nuggets, can smell blood in the water.
I mean, I thought it was kind of, I don't want to say shocking, but I was a little surprised to see that line open up at a minus 190 money line for Philadelphia. I'm like, wait a second, did I get this wrong? Did they not just drop a game they should have won on the road?
Yeah.
Now they're coming home, and now is when they're going to step up and answer the call.
I mean, most people are saying that, people should hold home court and stuff, especially with these split series. But I don't know. That New York's Knicks team is running around. Those guards are really fun to watch. And I don't know if we're going to see that resurgence out of Kyle Lowry every single game from the Philadelphia 76ers because he's got a lot of tread on the tires, and he's trying to keep up with Jalen Brunson. So I just don't, and Dante DiVincenzo as well. So I just really like the Lakers, the Knicks able to shoot a lot better than Philadelphia. Yeah. And it looks like Joel Embiid is kind of hurting with that, injury bug as well.
Yeah, so, he's obviously not at 100%. And this is a little bit different story from the playoffs last year. Last year, teams that were picked the favorites, not only did they win outright, but they covered 13 times in a row. In fact, it was 41 playoff games in a row up to that point.
Yeah.
Not quite the same story this year because we had a couple of buzzer beaters, so you didn't see that 4.5. You didn't see the 7.5 get covered.
No doubt.
Early on, you're talking game one with the Lakers. Like, okay, they're gonna cover this 7.5.
Yeah.
Nope. Denver was able to stretch that out.
Yep.
At the end there, and you didn't get that cover. So a little bit different story, a little bit, I would say, more exciting product being put on the court this time around as far as the playoffs are concerned.
Yeah, it's been such a fun one, and it's going to continue to be one. So, I just can't wait for Thursday, or today when the games start, and then, a lot of good ones on Friday as well that we'll talk about.
What do you think of this total? It's right above 201.5 for the Knicks and the 76ers. I kind of go back and forth with this one.
Yeah, no, I kind of like the over in this one just because it's been played in Philadelphia, and they're going to be they're going to try and outscore the Knicks is how they're going to try and win this game. So
Maxey,
I really like
Harris, all those guys.
Yep, exactly. Maxey's going to have a huge game, and Joel Embiid will probably have close to 40 points as well. So I really like the over here. Like you said, though, it could get out of hand quick, and then, that's shot, but it's such a low total, Andy, that I believe it should happen. It should happen.
It's wild to say over 200 points is a low total, but that's where we're at in the NBA.
That's where we're at.
Now. Well, let's take a minute to recognize one of our fabulous partners, and that is the Stock and Rod Company, an outdoor lifestyle brand for those seeking adventure. Whether it's hunting, fishing, hiking, they got you covered. Visit stockandrod.com to get your wild game on. Don't go anywhere. This is WTL. And welcome back, everybody, to WTL. You know what that stands for. Where's the Line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I'm your host, Andy Classen, joined by
JaBron.
Oh, the Parlay Pounder.
You got it. We back.
Yes, we are. Now we got to talk some NBA playoff round one of the playoffs, and we talked Thursday. Now we got to talk Friday night.
You know it.
A couple more stellar matchups here. And let's start with the 7 o'clock tip on ESPN. That's the Clippers. Oh, boy. Down 0-2, heading to Dallas. It looked like they were going to be able to defend one. Oh, it's 1-1.
It's 1-1.
It's tied 1-1. That's it. Yeah, Dallas needed some heroics there.
Yeah, they did. They needed Luka and Magic, and they got it.
Yeah, at the end of the game, too. I got ahead of myself there. And this is where... I think you were kind of leaving the Clippers for dead.
Yeah, no doubt.
And they didn't look too bad.
Yeah.
They didn't look. And Kawhi's
first night back.
Yep,
first night back, and he's only going to get better, like you said. But, now they're back in Dallas. Dallas has a 4.5 point, favorite here for this game. 208.5 over under. Andy, like you said, it was
getting bet down. It's getting bet down.
It's getting bet down. It was at 209 earlier today. I liked what I saw from the Clippers. Zubac is he's a game changer in this series. He's so much bigger and stronger than everybody else that they can put against him on the Dallas side. So I really like that. For the Clippers, I really like that Kawhi's coming back. You know that he was just filling it out right there, and you know that he's going to get better and better. I also like that they have those two MVPs that are just kind of role players for him now with Russell Westbrook and James Harden.
Yeah,
because those two can just catapult the team to just with assists, with rebounds, with running up and down the floor. So I really like this team a lot more than what I did coming into the playoffs. This could be an upset alert for the Mavericks.
Slowing things down, which would, I think, be conducive for the Lakers. They're an older team. Kawhi is nursing that.
Clippers, yep.
Clippers, sorry. Yeah, L.A. But Jason Kidd, the coach of the Mavs, said, hey, I liked that.
Yeah, no doubt.
Both teams
Luka loves that.
Being under 100 points.
Yep.
He was quoted as saying, that was 90s basketball at its best.
Yeah.
We love it, keeping both teams under 100. So it's kind of it'll be interesting to see who wants to push the pace offensively and when do they want to do that. Is it going to be in spots? When and how is that going to happen? Or are both teams just happy with walking the ball up and getting into the half court?
The reason Jason Kidd thinks that's so awesome is because he loves it if it's a close game, he has the trump card with Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. Probably the two best players on the floor, regardless of who they are. I love them if it's a close game, Andy. Like I said, with those other guys running around, though, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, they probably have the next best 4 players or 5 putting Zubac there. So Jason Kidd loves it if it's a close game because he's got the trump card with the 2 best players. But I really do believe the Mavericks are going to win this game. I don't believe it's probably. I like the Clippers' chance to cover here with it being 4.5.
You like that 4.5 number?
But what I really like the over, Andy. Like you said, I really think it's going to be a little bit of a different pace than this past game that we saw. It's only at 208.5. It was at 209. I had this getting up to 230, Andy.
Oh, really? That's where you capped it?
I really think that this game is going to hit some new strides. We're going to see big point totals by these all-stars that we're talking about. So, I got the Mavericks winning 116 to 114.
Yeah, and Leonard is only going to get better. I mean, he averages 24 points when he plays a full game.
No doubt.
And he didn't look too bad. He had some really nice numbers, only putting in 15 minutes of work there in game 2.
Yeah, for sure, Andy. And, you're just going to get more and more minutes out of him. If you're looking at his point total, it's over 22.5 right now. Okay. And you're getting at it at a plus 100. So I don't quite know enough about him to put money on him yet. Where I look at it is that I'm going to go over on Zubac's points at 11.5 at a minus 125. So I like Zubac over on points over 11.5, and then I got to give it to my boy Kyrie over 24.5. I believe he's going to get that easily, especially if they're going to win this game.
He'll even force it to get it.
No doubt.
That's Kyrie. Zubac, does he have like a total number there with rebounds? Because I do like what he's doing on the glass.
Yeah, he does for sure. Let me look, Andy. Zubac is over 10.5, so I love that as well.
Yeah.
And you can just pretty much put him down for a double-double because that's what's going to happen.
That's about a season average right there.
No doubt.
And right now, if the Clippers want to chip away and, they need him. They need him. That's one of their big advantages right there.
In Game 1, he was the difference. In Game 2, you could see he got in a little bit of foul trouble early in the first half, kind of got them out of their rhythm. So, no, I love both those bets, especially on Zubac. So he's my guy for the Clippers.
All righty. Well, should we move on to the nightcap?
Let's do it.
9:30.
I love it.
9:30 tip-off on ESPN.
I don't love that.
Minnesota Timberwolves, they are up 2-0 over the Phoenix Suns. Kind of a demoralizing loss in Game 2. It just felt like the Timberwolves down the stretch were just in total control.
No doubt.
Everyone's saying like, well, KD didn't quit, but oh boy.
Kind of.
he didn't look too enthused. And you got young Ant-Man out there.
No doubt, talking.
Yeah, talking.
And he's struggling too.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going to go with it. You had Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns with 2 off games.
Yeah.
And they admitted they were off.
No
they
doubt.
didn't play their best games. And the Suns still got handled in kind of a dominant fashion there in Game 2.
Yeah, for sure. Jaden McDaniels for the Timberwolves stepped up with 25 points on 10 of 17 shooting, winning Game 3 to be a massive step towards the conference semifinals. But this will be by far the hardest game to win here, Andy. First game back in Phoenix.
Yeah.
All those all-stars, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, all bloodthirsty for a win in the playoffs. I think Kevin Durant will certainly have something to say about that. The Suns have had a lot of bad luck so far in this series. Their leading three-point shooter, Grayson Allen, sprained his ankle in both games and is likely to be out for several weeks, Andy.
Booker fouled out down the stretch in Game 2.
No doubt.
Yeah.
So I believe the lowest scoring bench through the regular season, also struggling in the playoffs. I'm looking for the big 3, Durant, Booker, Beal. Like I just said, pick up the slack here. This will be a familiar feeling for Phoenix. They found themselves in a 2-0 hole in last year's series against Denver, after which they came back with consecutive wins. I know it's hard justifying backing a team after seeing them fail and crack the 100-point mark, but I believe in Kevin Durant, and I believe that they are going to cover this 4 points as well.
And that's where the money's going too, because this line opened up at 3.5, and it's already been bet up to 4.5 as the Suns being your favorite. I watched those last 2 games, and I just don't know if Phoenix has an answer for Michael Conley Jr. playing pick and roll with Rudy Gobert.
Yeah.
Those two guys have a really good chemistry going on right now. And if you overplay Rudy and you stick with him, he's a capable passer.
Yeah. And their other big guy, Naz Reid, and and you can't forget about their two All-Stars, Cat and Ant-Man. So
I just think it's a tough matchup for the Suns.
It really is, Andy. I just think that the Phoenix Suns can pull with one. I believe that Timberwolves are still a little young and are going to get a little ahead of themselves.
Okay.
I do believe they win the series, but the bet that I really love in this game, Andy, is the over. It's at
206.5.
It's getting bet down. I would have took this all the way up to 210, Andy. I just don't get why the Suns have stayed away from playing a fast-paced game so far, Andy. That has worked to perfection in the 3 regular season meetings against these guys with games of 133, 125 for them. Losing Grayson Allen is a devastating blow, obviously, like I mentioned, but we've seen players like Royce O'Neal, Eric Gordon step up in the past. Devin Booker and Bradley Beal have also left a lot to be desired over the first 2 games, so I believe the over is going to sail here, Andy, so that's where I'll be putting most of my money on Friday night.
Okay, well, Gordon stepped up and had a really nice second half for the Suns, and we've seen him in the playoffs before, whether it was with Houston or whoever. So we know he's another one of those veterans that can get it done in the void of Grayson Allen tripping up that ankle. Any player props you like, or are you really just looking at these totals?
Well, like I said, I love the over, Andy, but if I'm going to get this over, I have to look at a couple player props, and for sure I'm going KD over on points, and that's sitting right there at 26.5.
Okay, he averaged 27 on the season.
Yeah, no, I think 26.5, he's at a plus 102 for that, so you're getting plus money. I believe he's going to have at least a 30-point game to win this game.
Okay.
Also, if you want to look at Mr. Karl Anthony Towns, had a kind of a down game.
Everyone's thinking bounce back, right?
Everything
bounce back.
And his point total is very low right now, over 16.5 points. So I love the Cat prop as well.
He should be able to get there, right?
He should be able to get there.
He can't have 2 bad games in a row.
That's true.
Nobody in NBA playoff history has had 2 bad games in a row.
I hope that's the case. But no, those are definitely the 2 that I'm zoning in on are KD points and Karl Anthony Town points.
All righty. Well, hey, let's take a minute to recognize one of our fabulous partners, and that is the Nebraska Brewing Company. We've been enjoying, once again, the Ale Storm. Got it right here in front of me, and their new the Jersey cans they've reintroduced. That's the official beer of the AAA
Storm Chasers. Omaha Storm Chasers.
The Omaha Storm Chasers. So head on down there. Now you can get them in cans, and you also get a 6-pack of those cans at Hy-Vee and everywhere else.
Yeah, the Triple Play limited edition can.
There you go. They're pretty snazzy.
They are cool.
Sharp. They are pretty cool. Nebraska Brewing Company, world class in every glass. Don't go nowhere. This is WTL. And welcome back, everybody, to WTL. Where's the Line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I'm your host, Andy Classen, and I'm joined by a very special guest here for this segment, Taylor Mathis. And Taylor, hey, you did some work in our area before, right? This is kind of a little bit of a homecoming.
It is. Thank you for the warm welcome back to Nebraska. I got my sports betting and, well, I should say I got my sports broadcasting career underway right out of college in Kearney, Nebraska, working at NTV. So I'm very familiar with the state of Nebraska.
Oh, that's fantastic. ESPN Tri-Cities, Kearney, Grand Island, Hastings, we're right in the thick of it. And we do have to mention University of Iowa, right? You're a Hawkeye.
I am.
But what a great year for a Hawkeye. Caitlin Clark, all that history, that was a lot of fun.
It was. Even outside of being an Iowa fan, I think that a lot of sports fans in general can appreciate what Caitlin Clark has been able to do for women in women's sports.
Very much.
So getting to be a Hawkeye on top of it and being a part of my alma mater and everything that's been going on with Iowa, Caitlin Clark and women's basketball, it's been really fun to be a part of. And I have been following along for the first time ever, really getting to know women's basketball on a different level.
You and so many others, no doubt about it, but should we get into Major League Baseball, kind of your wheelhouse here as far as sports betting is concerned?
Yes, let's do it. I'm always down to talk the diamond.
And we know you're always down to talk about your Chicago Cubs, and they got a fabulous 3-game series coming up against kind of a up and down Boston Red Sox team. You can't get two more iconic brands than the Chicago Cubs, the Boston Red Sox. So many parallels there. That is a 3-game series from Friday to Saturday. Have a couple starters we're probably going to see. Let's start with the Cubs. We're probably going to see Jordan Wicks. He's really about 500 right now. When you talk about those strikeout props, usually set about 3.5, and half the time he covers. What are you seeing in this 3-game series?
Well, I love what I'm seeing out of my Cubs so far in general this season. We're only a half game back out of first in the NL Central, just behind the Brewers, who a lot of people to start the year were down on the Brewers. And I don't know if they just forgot how good the Brewers are. Right. But putting the Cardinals at the top of the futures to win the NL Central was crazy business to me. And we're seeing it right now with them being in last place in the NL Central. So I'm very happy with where my Cubs are currently sitting. Then you've got the Boston Red Sox in the AL East. They're just trying to chug along and keep up in one of the toughest divisions in baseball. I like the Cubs to take 2 out of 3 in this series. Game 1, you've got Shota slated out on the mound. He is 3-0 right now with a .84 ERA. Just 2 earned runs and 2 walks. The lack of walks is really what people need to be looking at and something that we need to know if you're going to be betting within the prop market. Betting Shota under his walks total every game is almost guaranteed money. He's good at getting batters to chase out of the zone. It's happening 39% of the time. And the Cubs, on the other side of the ball, offensively, they're top 10 in slugging, top 10 in OPS, home run percentage. They're getting Cutter Crawford likely in game 1, who's got a .66 ERA, so he's very good as well. But the Cubs offense should be able to battle back a little bit, and they've got a little bit more firepower behind them than this Red Sox offense does, at least in game 1.
Yeah, Boston has a couple really good starters, and you already mentioned Crawford there, a sub-1 ERA. He's a strikeout machine with 30 already on the season. It's just that their bullpen is so beat up, and that's kind of what I'm thinking you're probably hanging your hat on as far as the Cubs taking 2 or 3 here, them getting into that bullpen.
I am. I think it's a matter of getting into the bullpen. We're seeing that the Cubs starting rotation, unfortunately, we are plagued by a lot of injury right now, this roster as a whole. And the Cubs are so competitive and keeping up with it. Even with these injuries, we're seeing wins. I don't feel like a lot of our starters, though, tend to be going deep into games. We saw yesterday, finally, we got a starter that went at least 6 innings, which is a big deal for us. We need our starters to be pitching a little bit longer. Then we get that bullpen in there that's got a top 10 ERA right now in baseball. They can keep things up. If the Cubs can get an early lead there with the better offense, then hopefully the bullpen can come in and keep that lead alive.
I think that's a welcome word there for a lot of our listeners. Cubs takes the series there over the Red Sox. Should we move on to the Colorado Rockies?
Yes, I got one more play for you, though. If you guys want to bet anything in that Cubs Red Sox series, if you're into home run props, not necessarily hitting props are really my specialty, but I do look at them quite a bit. Unfortunately for the Red Sox, third baseman Tristan Casas is going to be out for quite some time now with that injury that he suffered this week. Tyler O'Neill, he may be getting traded from the Red Sox after this season, but he's got 7 home runs right now on the year, top 3 in Major League Baseball. He's a home run guy, and the Red Sox have a high slugging percentage. I would look for him to possibly hit a home run there against Jordan Wicks in game 3 of that series.
Wicks does give up a long ball here and there. There's no doubt about it. Good stuff, good stuff. So the Rockies are wrapping up a series here with the Padres, but we're looking ahead to their weekend series with the Astros. 2 teams that are really struggling right now. Astros 7-17. I think a lot of folks thought they might struggle, but not to this extent. Rockies, they're kind of par for the course of what we thought we might see, that 6-18. However, most of those games have been on the road. They're a different team at home. You're getting a struggling Astros team. Is there some value at looking at the Colorado Rockies here at home?
I don't know if I would say that there's value. I think I'm surprised. I think, as most people are, I don't think at this point in the season, people would be able to tell me that the Astros have only won 1 more game than the Rockies. Right. That's crazy talk. Nobody would have thought that at this point in the year. The Astros right now, if you're holding a futures ticket on the Astros, I would be slightly worried. they do have a chance to still turn this season around. 41% chance to make the playoffs, just a 23% chance, though, to win the AL West right now. So if you're holding on to that AL West futures ticket for the Stros, I'd be a little nervous at this point in the season, but we still got time to make the playoffs. I would look to back the Astros in a sweep here against the Colorado Rockies. This series is actually in Mexico City this weekend. So it's something to look at. They're not at home. We've got both teams that are going to be on the road. And the Astros are going to be facing two different, likely for this Colorado Rockies rotation, two righty pitchers. The Astros are top 10 in the league when it comes to strikeout rate against righty pitchers. And they're also top 10 in the league in hitting and on base percentage against righty pitchers. I think this is a good matchup here for the Astros and for them to be able to get back into that win column. Their starting pitching's got to step up a little bit. They've got a 3.26 ERA, 5.16 ERA, excuse me. So that's going to cut the Astros a little bit of a break.
Yeah, and that's a great point. That's why we love having folks like yourself on. On paper, it's a home game for the Rockies, but that elevation, it's actually higher in Mexico City. So that's probably a good thing for those Houston Sluggers. And the hitting hasn't been the issue for Houston thus far in the season. It's been their pitching. Do you think the Rockies bats might travel to Mexico City?
I don't. I'm not high on the Rockies whatsoever, guys. I'm sorry. Sorry to say it. I know there's probably a lot of Rockies fans listening out there. But they just don't have it right now. And you've got the first game slated there against the Astros, Cal Quantrill. And I was high on him in spring training. He looked like he had gotten his command a little bit under control compared to the last two seasons. Doesn't seem to be the case, though. He's not looking too great there. Granted, I do believe that it looks like the Astros have Hunter Brown slated as well. He's not looking too hot to start either. I think his ERA is sitting above a 9 at this point. Overall, though, because the bats wake up a little bit more with the Astros, I've got to back the Astros here. Possibly take a sweep in this. Not sure what the odds will be on that, but I'm assuming you'll likely be able to get it in plus money.
That's probably a good plus money type of a lean there. And Quantrill, as you mentioned, 12 walks to only 15 strikeouts. That's not the control that you want to see in your starter.
Take him under. You're looking at the K-prop market. Like I said, the Astros, they hit righties very, very well. I believe they have the second best K rate in baseball to right-handed pitchers right now. So if you are looking to do a pitcher prop, go with the unders on strikeouts there for Cal Quantrill. That'll be a good one.
Love it. All right, real quick, let's work in the Royals versus Detroit. Another 3-game series, Friday through Sunday. Singer, Waka, probably going to see the mound for the Royals. And I think they have Waka. He's 1-2 right now. He's got his ERA above 3.81. But he's still a strikeout machine. 25 Ks to only 9 walks. I think there's some good things from the starting pitching when you look at the Kansas City Royals early on here.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. And I've been high on the Kansas City Royals preseason as well. I think the Royals are a team that people were going to overlook, and they did a lot of work in that offseason to improve this roster. Actually, I'm going to throw myself back for a second. When I lived in Nebraska and was working at NTV, it was 2015, and that was the year the Kansas City Royals won the World Series. Ooh. So I got to experience quite a bit of that Kansas City Royals fandom, and I must say they remind me a lot of Cubs fans. So I'm always high on this Royals team to do well. I feel like they're a team that gets overlooked a lot, and the Cubs don't per se get overlooked, but we're the lovable losers. So there's something about that underdog mentality that both of these teams have, and they're both Midwestern teams. So I love the Royals, and I'm loving what I'm seeing out of them so far this season. I mean, so many of their hitters are doing well. The fact that they went out and they signed Bobby Witt Jr. to that 14-year deal, crazy. Great move on their part. It's obviously paying off in dividends for them. The pitching looks very good right now. Detroit, historically, through last year, took 10 of 13 between these two teams. I think that this is a different Kansas City Royals team, though. And I wouldn't be shocked, though. This one's going to be close to me. I don't know. I would bet this more on a game-by-game basis as opposed to betting the series.
Okay. And you do have some fabulous starting pitching on the other side for Detroit. Screwball is sub to 1.8 .82 ERA. That's fantastic. Only 5 walks on the season versus 35 punch-outs, 35 Ks. So, yeah, that if he's going to take the bump, you might want to pump your brakes a little bit if you're betting the Royals.
Yes, I would agree. I was going to say the game that I would bet Detroit today to take would be against Tyreek Skubal. The first game, I believe that Reese Olson is slated to pitch for the Tigers as of right now. That's a game that I'd be looking for the Royals to take in that one. Another trend that you might want to note a little bit, something very interesting about the Detroit Tigers. If you are looking to back them and you think that they are going to win the game, you should do it based on the run line, because trend-wise, they tend to be beating teams by more than a run when they do win games. So if you're looking to back the Tigers, take the run line as opposed to the money line.
Excellent. I'm glad you took me there, Taylor. You are the expert. And, sports betting's still new here for a lot of Nebraskans, only been legalized for just over a year and a half now. What is the difference between a run line and a money line when we're talking Major League Baseball?
Okay. So if you're taking the money line, you are assuming that a team is just going to outright beat the other team. So, for example, we've got the Royals versus the Tigers. If you think the Tigers are going to win, you bet the money line outright. All they have to do is beat the Royals for your bet to win. If the Tigers lose, though, your bet would lose. If you're going to bet the run line, generally in baseball, the run line is set to a 1.5. That means if the Tigers are the favorite, they are favorited by a 1.5. If the Royals are the dog, they are the underdog by a 1.5. Say you think the game's going to be close, you think that the Royals can keep the game within a 1.5, you would bet the plus 1.5 for the Royals to keep it within 2 runs. That means you could win that bet if they win the game outright, or even if they lose the game outright, but if it's by a run or less. Well,
fabulous. You got to win by 2.
But yeah.
If you're going to do the run line, you got to win by 2. Good stuff. Great stuff, Taylor. Thank you so much for joining us. We're up against it here. But, hey, where can people follow and find you online?
You guys can find me online, social media, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at TMath Sports. In the next week here, too, get excited. I am putting out my very first ever episode of my show called First Base. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I've got some great guests that are going to be on it.
I'm excited about that. So First Base, and that's coming on YouTube?
It'll be YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.
It's going to be everywhere. Awesome.
Everywhere.
Taylor, thank you so much for joining us. Don't go anywhere. This is WTL.
And welcome back, everybody, to WTL. Where's the Line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I'm your host, Andy Classen, and I'm joined once again by JaBron, the Parlay Pounder.
Yes, sir. We're back.
Yes, we are. And how about Taylor Mathis?
Yeah.
What a surprise
awesome.
that was. Yeah.
She's great.
So cool that she got her professional career started in Kearney with NTV, and it was the summer that the Royals won the 2015.
No
So she still has a little soft spot for the Royals.
Yeah.
I don't think that affected her analysis. Maybe it did just a little bit.
Maybe just a little bit.
It's a fun team.
It's
a fun team to root for.
Those were awesome years for the Royals. It just feel like if they're within a couple runs, they're going to win the game. So very fun team to cover, I'm sure.
Yeah. And then of course we talked about the Cubs and the Red Sox and their 3-game series coming up here this weekend. 2 iconic brands. But I couldn't get her to give any love towards the Rockies, and I think that's because they've only won 6 games this year.
That's pretty tough to give them any love because, they are not doing too well.
Thanks once again to Taylor Mathis joining the show, joining our program, and sharing all that wonderful information betting Major League Baseball. But now we got to get back to the NFL.
Yeah.
And I know what you're thinking. You're like, well, isn't it springtime? There's no NFL game. It's the NFL draft.
Yes, it is.
And betting on the draft has gone bananas over the last 2 or 3 years. And this is where bettors have actually come out ahead of the NFL.
No doubt.
The last 3-4 years when these lines started to open up and you're seeing more exotic and different type of plays being made, the books thought they were getting snazzy and going to steal some bucks.
Yeah.
It's actually hurt them. It's come back around because word gets out.
Yeah.
Sharps don't give up their sources. The books have really taken a beating on the draft.
Yeah, Scheffner's given out a few too many, lucky plays and all that kind of stuff, I think. But we're
Shefty.
Yeah, well, Shefty and Kuiper and all those guys. So
good. They're so good.
They're so good. No, it's pretty crazy. The first one you need to talk about, obviously, is your Chicago Bears with the number 1 pick.
I know. They're probably going to win the Super Bowl here after this draft.
It's going to happen.
Looks that way.
Yeah, so this is the only thing for sure that we know is going to happen, that I know for sure.
Minus 20,000.
Minus 20,000. Caleb Williams, the new starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears.
Young man out of USC. The Bears did a heck of a job stockpiling picks over the last couple of years and playing really bad football to secure that number 1 pick.
Yeah, and making sure that the Carolina Panthers played bad football as well and stole from them as well.
Pick.
So,
got the
very good. Both of our teams are just awesome at football.
Ouch. Is there any fun lines with old Caleb Williams? Like, are his fingers going to be painted neon orange? Are they going to be pink and yellow?
Yeah, I haven't seen anything like that, Andy. But the thing I'm looking with Caleb Williams is actually putting him into a parlay for the exact top 4 order.
Oh, wow.
So
here we go.
This is what I'm looking at for the top 4 order, Andy.
Okay.
And it's not the top 1. The top 1 for this on DraftKings is Caleb Williams at 1, Jaden Daniels at 2, Drake May at 3, and then Marvin Harrison Jr. at 4.
Yes.
That is not the way that I think this is going to shake out, Andy. I believe that those 3 quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3, and then somebody trades up and gets J.J. McCarthy at 4. So that's at a plus 275 right now on most books if you do the exact order of Caleb Williams, Jalen Daniels, Drake May, and J.J. McCarthy. I believe that's a really good play there. I believe people are going to really trade up to get JJ. I don't agree with it, but I think it's going to happen.
It happens every year. It's a quarterback-driven league, and it gets crazy.
It really does
with quarterbacks. Hey, I'll admit it. I thought Kansas City was crazy, trading all the way up to 8 to go get Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, what a bunch of idiots!
It's so stupid. The guy averaged like 4 interceptions a game at Texas Tech, thrown across his body the whole 9 yards.
Yeah,
I'm like, here we go.
3 Super Bowls later.
Yeah, go get a quarterback in the first round. I get it. Whatever. I mean, a lot of books don't have J.J. McCarthy going to like pick 11 or 12. Like he drops in a lot of these single bets when you're just doing one. You're thinking he's going to bump up to 4.
I really think that a lot of teams are going to be fighting over that last, quarterback at that level, which I believe he is. I do believe that Michael Penix Jr. isn't getting the fair shake he deserves just because he's injury prone and injury prone. But that really goes into my next pick here, Andy, and that is under 4.5 quarterbacks selected in the first round on Thursday. That's at a plus 240, so you could literally just bet $10 to win 34. You don't have to put a whole bunch on that. But the over-under on quarterbacks selected in the first round is 4.5 on DraftKings. Over is, 4.5, substantially a favorite at minus 300. But I really like the under here, Andy.
You like the under?
I really think the only locks for the first round are Caleb Williams, Jalen Daniels, Drake May, and J.J. McCarthy to go in the first 32 picks. Michael Penix Jr. and Bo Nix are sitting there right at the outside. I believe they're both going to be second-round picks, Andy. So I really like under 4.5.
Yeah, because after you take those first 3 quarterbacks, I feel they're kind of locks as well.
Yeah.
So much talk has come out over Drake May and the Patriots, how much in love they are with the guy. I don't think they're going to be able to get away from him. Neither the Commanders away from Jaden Daniel.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of like the idea of just doing those 3 quarterbacks in a parlay, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
But for the big plus money, you got to throw that in there with that 4th pick. But after that, then you start seeing this is a deep wide receiver. Anyway, it's top heavy.
Yeah.
You're going to see a lot of wide receivers go in the first round. Then you start seeing the edge rushers and the big offensive tackles. Do you have a line in front of you? I'm just curious as far as like wide receivers, because I would think a 3.5, a 4.5 would be right on par with quarterbacks.
I don't have the wide receivers, but
right there.
I just like you talked about the offensive linemen. In the first round is over 9.5, Andy. The under is sitting there at plus 150. I believe that is a great play with the under 9.5, Andy, with the plus money. There's only 5 locks, Andy, with Joe Alt from Notre Dame, Fanasua from Penn State, J.C. Latham from Alabama, Troy Fountainu from Washington, and Mims from Georgia. So those are the only locks in there, Andy. I know other people are going to be wanting to beef up that offensive line. I just don't believe that there's enough high caliber ones to throw in the first round.
Right.
Yeah, so I love that under 9.5 for that.
Yeah, and Alt's the cream of the crop, and he's projected to go 7 overall to Tennessee Titans, and you're getting a late start now. You're already a third way through the draft.
You're all the way through the draft with the best player that I believe probably, to
7 picks into it.
Everybody's saying this is Joe Thomas reincarnated. So, most people should be thinking about him 4 or 5. You know what I mean?
Yep. And then it looks like I'm just looking at some projections here. The Bears at 9 going to go with an edge rusher and Jared Verse, but we have seen the Bears really, really goof it up before.
Yeah, no doubt.
Trade up and take a guy that they could have waited for or whatever. I wouldn't be surprised, especially when we start getting outside of those top 3-4 picks. We're going to see some movement. So then you can throw all these projections out the window.
Exactly, Andy. And the line you were talking about with the wide receivers is over 6.5 in the first round.
Whoa!
The under
I knew it was deep.
The under is way minus 360. So a lot of people think it's going to be under that. But if you want to go over, it's at plus 280. So that is a play for people if they think it's going to be a big wide receiver. The last one of the last ones that I want to talk about, Andy, is total offensive players in the first round is all the way up, Andy, to over 21.5. With 32 picks in the first round, one side of the ball for 20-plus picks is a largely unheard of in recent history.
Yeah.
In fact, the past 6 years, Andy, the most offensive players to come off the board in the first round is 18.
18, and that's the most.
And that's the most.
That's the
in
most.
the last 6 years, Andy. With a deeper QB and receiver group than normal, look for the offensive side of the ball to dominate Thursday's first-round selection. So I believe at the plus 150, it's a good play over 21.5.
I mean, when you're talking about 9 offensive linemen going in the first round,
I
mean, throw that in with the receivers, throw that in with the quarterbacks. I think that gets lost in the running back discussion.
No doubt.
I mean, you even have a couple tight ends projected in the top 10 here.
No doubt.
Brock Bowers, going to the Jets out of Georgia, right?
Yep.
So, golly, that's right on the nose there.
It is really right on the nose, Andy, but I do believe it's going to happen. One thing that I'm just going to throw a freaking softball out here.
Little flyer.
I love it, and it kind of contradicts some of my other picks, but I believe the Los Angeles Rams are going to draft a quarterback with their first selection, and it's a plus 2,500. So it's a big softball out there. The best time to take a quarterback is when you don't need one, Andy.
Okay.
You're not desperate. You don't have to overpay or overdraft. That's the position the Rams, I think should be looking at now. Yep. They don't need a quarterback, but probably will need one soon.
Right.
So I think Penix Jr. or Bo Nix are going to be sitting there for them. And
Bo Nix would be perfect for them, wouldn't it?
I think so. Matthew Stafford's entering his 15th year. Like I said, this is a Hail Mary, but this is at plus 2,500. You can throw $5-10 on it and come away with some cash to spend on other stuff. So I think it's a fun one.
It's the draft, right? Let's get crazy. Let's throw another one out there.
Yeah.
A Husker taken in the first 5 rounds.
Over.
Over?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well, we got one guy projected.
We got Omar Brown.
Okay.
Yeah, Omar Brown. It looks like he's going to get picked up in the 6th round, 6th or 7th round. So, it's not looking good for the Huskers this year. Hopefully, a lot coming out next year.
Come on, Omar. Sneak in there. Hopefully you get drafted and make that roster. I think he's projected 6th rounder, mid-6th rounder to Detroit, right? The Lions?
Detroit.
Hey, they love Huskers.
They love
Detroit
the Huskers.
Loves the Huskers.
Bring back that Sioux blood.
All right, you got one more player. Should we wrap this up?
Yeah, no, I think, where's it at? I had one more, and it's Joe Alt, like you said, that offensive lineman.
Yep.
I do believe that somebody's going to trade up for him at the 5th pick, Andy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Plus 475 to get up to the 5th pick. There's so much noise about the Chargers taking a wide receiver at 5, but I don't see it, Andy.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert's your biggest asset. You need to protect your most important piece.
Yep.
And I believe Joe Alt will do that with the 5th pick. I believe Joe Alt plus 475 is great. Numbers
There's
there.
value there, yeah.
Great value. I believe that the Chargers should take him.
No, and we've seen that recently from the draft. Once the quarterbacks go, then it's offensive tackle and it's edge rusher.
Yep.
It's fun to talk receivers and all that stuff, but no, it's offensive tackle. And the salaries reflect that. The number one position is quarterback by a mile, and then the second highest paid is offensive tackle.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes too far sense to take an offensive lineman here, then address the wide receiver at the top of the second round in a deep receiver class, Andy. I guess there's a chance the Chargers could trade back, but Alt is the safe and most productive pick that the Chargers could take.
I like Alt. All righty, well, that'll about do it for us this week, folks. Be sure to follow us on ESPN Tri-City Radio and their Facebook page. Hey, look us up on Twitter, and if you haven't already, please subscribe, give us a like, a thumbs up, whatever you do on YouTube. We're going to have a whole bunch of shorts, feature-length videos coming at you throughout the week and weekend. And then TikTok is still around.
Yeah.
The bill was passed. It might be they're either going to have to change things up, change ownership, or it's going to go bye-bye, but it's still around. So, hey, find JaBron over on TikTok.
Yeah, definitely check us at WTL Sports Betting for, like you said, videos on player props and big games coming up this weekend.
For JaBron, the Parlay Pounder, I'm Andy Classen. Thank you for listening. This has been WTL.